Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nickel.
Thank you so much for dropping in today. I am so excited to be partnered with Sway Vodka Sodas. Why? Because they will be donating on my behalf to Can Fund. And this series is all about helping Team Canada athletes. Well, actually, we're talking to them. Sway is helping them by donating to Can Fund. Sway is a better tasting vodka soda with nothing to hide. It's real simple and unforced while still delivering more flavor. This is series 4, where I normally have a co-host. She was kind of busy today. We'll give her a break, but Miss Martha McCabe, I thank her so much, Canadian Olympian, for being my co-host throughout this series. We are dropping in with Team Canada athletes that potentially are going to Tokyo in a couple weeks from now. Let me introduce this episode's sport and guest that we will be dropping in with. Now, looking back at this team sport, it seemed like it was played with a horn in 510 BC. And in the early 19th century, this game grew in English public schools, the first club being in 1849 near London. This game is played on a pitch, a rectangular field with goals on each end. I bet you don't know what it is yet. It was first showcased at the Olympics in 1908 with a men's team, and the first women's club was founded in 1887. The women's teams were introduced to the Olympics in 1980. That's like almost 80 years later. Whatever. There are two teams of 11 players, 10 field players, and 1 goalkeeper on the field. Yes, there is a ball involved, but this sport is named hockey. Some of us might know it as field hockey. Athletes use a field hockey stick in two 35-minute periods to pass, shoot, and score on the opposing team's goal. Dare I say that our guest today is a veteran on the Canadian men's field hockey team. I dare say it because I did not like being called a veteran. But he's competed all over the world, starting since 2006. He competed at 4 Commonwealth Games, 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2018. If that's not enough, he represented Team Canada as the youngest player at the 2008 Beijing Games for his very first Olympics. The 2011 and 2015 Pan American Games, he brought home silver in both. Now, let's not forget the 2009 gold and 2013 silver at the Pan American Cups. We bring him to his second Olympics, 2016 Rio Games. He spent some time in Germany playing and adds German to his list of languages. He has his master's in sports management and is headed to his 3rd Olympics in less than a week. This friend, son, coffee lover, 2-time Pan American medalist, 2-time Olympian is going to his 3rd Olympics this summer. Let's see how Mr. Mark Pearson is doing today. Mark, are you ready to drop in?
I'm absolutely ready to drop in.
Okay, I know you just came from training, so let's get right into it with some rapid fire questions that everyone knows if they're a listener are never rapid fire. Where in the world are you today?
I'm in Surrey, British Columbia right now.
Nice. Just finished training. Looking good.
Yeah.
Number 2, when you were in Germany playing,
Mm-hmm.
no, you were, fact, you played in Germany.
That's right.
How is your German linguistics now?
Sehr gut, Dankeschön. Lange Zeit nicht gesprochen, aber nicht so schlecht.
I feel like you just said pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, but it's been a while since I've spoken it. That's what I said. So.
Okay. Wow, this is impressive. How long were you over there for?
2 years. The problem is when you live in Germany, you're walking English lessons. So the guys on my team, I mean, all of them spoke quite good English, but they all wanted to be better at it. So for them, you were just literally the walking English lessons. So whilst I'm there trying to learn their language, they're there trying to perfect our language. So it was good. By the second year, our coach spoke in German. I mean, he spoke English as well, but all the team talks were in German. So I sort of felt the duty to learn it just so that I could, again, not have to get the Coles Notes version by one of my teammates after the fact. So yeah, and it was just kind of a fun thing to do when you're living in a city of Hamburg, which again, lots of people speak English, but it's nice to be able to speak in the local language.
Always. I'm envious. I know Osfart. That's exit. That's all I know.
That's exit. Yeah. Yeah.
Only from driving there. Okay, number 3. What was it like to be the youngest player at your first Olympics? Because is that true?
Yeah. I was the youngest on the team, and looking back now, I realize how naive and immature I probably was. And again, I was pretty wide-eyed walking in, and yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. The hockey was okay for us on the field. But looking back, I think I was just a little bit overwhelmed by the moment and everything that was going on. And I remember walking in, there was, the senior leaders, the team managers, the coaches that said, yeah, there's going to be all these distractions around you, and girls and mega famous athletes, and a new culture, a new country, an athlete village. And they're like, don't get distracted, don't get distracted, don't get distracted. That was kind of the mantra that was beaten into us.
Yeah.
And I think, knowing who I am, I tried to kind of wall myself off from all these distractions and focus only on hockey, and just try to ignore everything else, which actually isn't sort of who I am as a person and who I am. Like you can do both. You can be focused on your sport and at the same time still have conversations and meet amazing athletes like yourself from other sports, and use it as an opportunity to experience it. It shouldn't distract. It's finding that fine balance. So I think, looking back now, I was just like, so again, just trying to listen to, not wanting to ruffle any feathers and try to wall myself off from things. And now with, the Rio experience, and then obviously Tokyo is going to be a little bit different than Rio, but, just from a personal perspective and who I was and how mature I was as an individual, Rio was a lot different. So, look back fondly for sure. It was an amazing experience.
And you guys play throughout the whole games, really? That's the goal.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, that is the goal. Yeah, but it's kind of unusual. Like, we get to know all the COC mission team and, a few other team sport athletes pretty well, because we're there. We're not dropping in and dropping out like some of the athletes. We're really there from start to finish. Our tournament usually starts the day after opening ceremonies. And in the past, we would play, have a day off, play, have a day off. Now they've kind of condensed our schedule where we play. They've limited the days off, so it's tougher for us physically. So we could be there for only 8 days out of the 15, but obviously our goal is to be there for the full 14 or 15 if we make the semis or finals. So.
And did they do that just because of COVID, or is this how it's going to be in the future?
They did it for Rio. I don't really know why they did it, to be honest.
They always do that. They make it way more difficult on athletes for the Olympics when they're already difficult.
I know. I don't really understand it. They did add a quarterfinal element, which I think is advantageous to us, because in the past it was 2 pools of 6. Top 2 would make semifinals, and then it would be semis and finals. So there was a little more time allowed for the pool play. Whereas now they've kind of condensed the pool play and added a quarterfinal. So it does make it harder on the athletes, but I think it's advantageous to us because, again, for us getting into just a knockout stage, getting to a quarterfinal is a bit easier than a semifinal for us. And then, you make it to a knockout stage, you look at the Euros going on right now, anything can happen. So, we're hoping to be the Denmark of this summer.
I'm so excited. And it's like, obviously the question was being the youngest, and then I did name you as a veteran, and I always hated being called the veteran. But do you feel like that, like, for these games?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just finished training and they lined us up on the baseline at the end to do some running, and I certainly felt like a bit of a veteran trying to chase some of the young guys out there. But no, I'm coming off a bit of an injury. So yeah, I think it's, I'm 33. I've played this sport for an awfully long time. I certainly have some great attributes and on the field, and certainly feel like I can do a bunch of stuff, but just maybe not quite exactly the same player. And it's just like every athlete, you kind of go through phases in your career. So I'm just sort of in a bit of a different phase and try to lean on those attributes that, I still have in spades and maybe don't have some of the other ones. So it's the aging process, unfortunately.
Tell me about it. I always tell people, they're like, 4 Olympics. I'm like, yeah, I don't recommend it. I don't.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It's tough.
My body hurts.
It's tough.
Oh
yeah.
man. Okay. you just were home training. Well, obviously, you were just off training, but BC had a huge heat wave. Like it's been the
Mm.
hottest that we've ever had it. And that is kind of what it's going to be like in Tokyo, I'm imagining. It's going to be really hot. So, what was that the hottest you've ever played in, or have you played in hotter weather?
Oh, well, it was really, really hot. And then it was tough for us because we're Vancouver guys. And
I know.
well, a
A
lot of
lot
us
of
are
you.
from Vancouver. And then there's athletes that are here, as part of the squad training and preparing for the Olympics. But, broadly speaking, not many people that live on the West Coast have air conditioning. So
Yeah.
the hardest part, I think, was, and Mercedes, like a huge part of, playing as an athlete is that recovery component and being able to sleep. And so if you're not able to sleep, it's pretty darn hard to get up in the morning again and go and train as hard as you did the day before. So
Yeah.
I think that, to be honest, that was almost harder than anything, was dealing with the lack of sleep for that week. And then obviously trying to find creative ways to cool down. We're pretty fortunate. We trained, whilst we're training in Surrey today, we were training in West Vancouver the
Mhm.
last few weeks. And that's
Oh,
typically been our home
nice.
for training. And the field itself is quite close to the beach. So
Yeah.
we would immediately, as soon as training was done, we'd throw our sticks down and immediately run to the ocean and jump in for a little swim and an ice bath. So that was really nice to kind of cool off. But yeah, I mean, our coaches are obviously excited. We know the heat's going to be an issue in Japan, but we play an awful lot of tournaments in India and Malaysia. So we're used to traveling, and we're used to playing in hot climates, Australia as well. So for us, the heat is just something that we're kind of used to. And yeah, to be honest, nothing will top Malaysia as far as I'm concerned. That's probably
Oh,
the hottest place we've ever played and probably ever will play. So
oh, such a different, just so different from snowboarding. It's hilarious. I had
yeah,
George, I
it's
had Georgia
crazy.
Simmerling on, and I was like, "You just went from like skiing in a downhill suit to even tighter
Hmm.
spandex for biking." And so, big ups to you guys for just training in the heat. I respect it so
Yeah,
much.
there was one game I remember we played. It was Belarus in Malaysia 2 years ago now at a
Yeah.
tournament in Bukit Jalil, which is like a 10,000 seat hockey specific stadium. It's awesome, one of the best places to play in the world. But we
Nice.
played at like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. It was, I think, 44, 45 degrees. We had to take extra
No.
breaks during the game. And then there it's close to the equator. So it's like, 95% humidity. So plus you're in like a stadium with limited airflow. It was just probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Like, are you just
Some of
like
the
trying to
some
keep
of the
up with
glue
all the water? Like you're like, because you're just sweating it out.
Yeah, yeah, they have these things called 100 plus, which is like this amazing isotonic drink that I guess it's really popular in Malaysia because people get dehydrated a
Yeah.
lot. So we were making like 100 plus slushies, and then, but it was crazy. Like the glue in guys' shoes was beginning to melt. So we had one or two guys that like their shoes just starting to fall apart by the second half. So,
Oh my
it's hot.
gosh. So
Yeah,
crazy. I had a
yeah,
cup in the back of my car and it was plastic and it melted. I was like, okay, it was hot
yeah,
here. Holy
yeah.
moly. Um, this is a tough question because I know the team is going to be an awesome team, but there had to be some cuts
Mm,
from probably your friends that maybe you
totally.
thought would be going with you. How did that go?
Yeah, Mercedes, it's always the toughest part of playing, for a team. And, I was there at one point in my career early on, and, now I'm kind of fortunate in that, I'm not as say anxious as some of the other guys, but certainly well aware of what's happening and well aware of the competitive element and guys trying to make the 16, and again, for us, typically at tournaments, we travel with 18, and we will travel with 18 to these
Okay.
games, but two of the guys, aren't going to be competing.
Mhm.
They're there as reserve athletes. So it's kind of a condensed down squad. So it makes it even more competitive than usual. And, again, I think it's a testament to the group of guys we have. Like this, I think it's been like more fiercely competitive than I've ever seen it for this group.
Amazing.
So yeah, our team was selected now about 10 days ago. And yeah, it's always tough. You see that list of names
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you immediately think of the 3, 4 guys that have been working their socks off for the last 5 years to be a part of this group. So I wanted to always send a message, call, and maybe meet up for the guys just to chat through. And obviously it's super disappointing, and that's
Mhm.
kind of the part of sport that I think a lot of people don't understand is those guys that put in all the work but aren't necessarily there when the sun is shining and the TV's on at the
Yeah.
Olympics. Like any success we do have in Tokyo is sort of on the backs of those guys that kind of help push us and train us hard here in Vancouver for the last kind of couple of years. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just certainly super tough.
I know. I was trying to think back, like it's so like we only have 4 girls for snowboarding that get to go, and to have like one of my best friends in 2010 not be able to go, it's so difficult, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like a solo sport, I'm like, it still is kind of a team, and it sucks, but you do need to stay focused, right? Like, and do what you
Hmm.
need to do. So, man, I
Yeah.
am it's
and
a
that
tough
was
one.
and that was kind of we had a little team bonding weekend this past weekend. We were
Mhm.
talking off air about it, and we got away, got off the grid, dropped the cell phones in the bag, and just hung out at a hut, and just with the 16 guys plus the 2 reserve athletes, just, and it was a good chance to kind of get away, and as you say, kind of come together with that the core group now, as it's
Mhm.
been named. So
Yeah.
again, it's not like you were leaving the other guys behind. They're still with you in
Mhm.
spirit, but they're just not going to be there in the flesh. So
Yeah, for sure. And
yeah, but
a lot of people don't know, like, that the teams are only just being named and the games are just
totally.
weeks away. And that is
Yeah.
like, I feel like that in itself is its own story. We were crazy enough to have like MTV follow us around for the 2010 games, so everyone got to watch what happened and like the tears and everything. But like, to come down to the last 2 weeks, that's what kind of like my point of the Olympics and how difficult it is. Like, you don't find out till
Yeah.
2 weeks before, really.
I know, it's crazy. And I mean, thank goodness, because I was in that situation in Beijing. I had no idea. I wasn't as confident. I didn't know if I was going to be in or out. I was one of these bubble guys. And then
Yeah.
I did end up making it. And then what's the first thing, your family does, is because they weren't going to book anything because they didn't know if I was going to be there or not.
Yeah.
And then they've got to book all these last minute flights, and, the dodgiest hotel room in China to to come watch me play, right? And so
Yeah.
that's the other thing. I mean, in these games we won't have that issue,
Hmm.
because there won't be friends and family in the stands. But typically that is another small little
Component.
facet of this
Yeah.
whole thing, is all the friends and family that want to come watch you, they have to wait until that team is announced. And
Yeah.
to your point, it's sometimes like a week or two out from when the games start to get going. So
Totally. Unfortunately, I was too focused, and I had like told my
hmm.
family for 2010, I'm like, you do it. Like, that's what the
Yeah.
mentors said. They're like, your parents, you don't need to worry about them. They can figure it out on
Yeah.
their own. And so I did that. I was like, I'm going to be as selfish as I can be. And I literally just apologized to a friend to be like, dude, I didn't even think to get you a ticket because I was so
Mm,
in the zone, and I am sorry. Like, it's such a crazy
yeah.
time.
It is, and it is distracting too to have, like, and I tell my mom and dad, or my mom and my sisters, this, like, it's great to have them there, and I love them there, but it again, it's, you're kind of, you have this dual role of there as an
Hmm.
athlete, but also there to kind of be there for your friends and family. So it is really hard to find that right sweet spot, that right balance, where
Yeah.
again, they're not being distracting in any way and allowing you to perform, at the peak level. So
Exactly. You don't really want to worry about them. And must be so much more challenging because you guys are playing the whole way through. But I do want to touch on the games. So,
yeah.
one of my favorite things at the games is to watch other sports and really get to
Oh yeah,
know
of course.
other teammates. And the summer
Yeah.
games, I've obviously never been to a summer games, but the team is so vast. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
just Canadian athletes. Is there any sport that you were dying to watch at the last 2 games? Because I'm not sure you're going to be able to watch any at these games, like in
Well, I'll
person.
tell you, I'll tell you what, we had about 4 or 5 days in Rio after we finished competing, and our goal was exactly that, was to watch as many of this other
Yes.
sports as possible. So we went to watch golf,
Yep.
which I had never seen live. I like golf. I play golf. I'd watched on TV, but I'd never been to a golf event, and it was super cool. Like, going from hole to hole, watching the golfers, seeing the Canadians come through, like, just the energy, the atmosphere on the course. It was really exciting. But the thing I like best, which I was, I guess most, I don't know, surprised about, maybe, was the track cycling. Oh my god, I had no idea how fast, how steep that velodrome is, how incredibly complex. Just like, it's just chaos out there. And then I think we watched the men's, it's like the Omnicron, I'm sure I'm getting that name wrong, but I talked to one or two of the track cyclists afterwards, and like, that's the event to watch, because it's like 50 laps, and like there's different points awarded for different laps, so there's different things going on. So it's
Cool.
it's just like chaos, but it was so cool, and they're just going so fast. So um
I said to
yeah.
Georgia, I
Yeah, I
said to
loved it.
Georgia,
I was
I'm
like, this,
like,
I just have such a, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just had such a new appreciation for it. It's just like,
Yeah.
when you see something live like that, and you just appreciate the athleticism and just the determination and the just again the mental fortitude to like get on your bike and go that fast like on something so steep. So
I
it's
need to
crazy.
watch it because I was explaining it like on George's
Yeah,
episode, and I was like, I don't really
yeah.
get it. Like, do you want to be third because then you're like the last person to cross the line in the team pursuit? And she was like, no, you're
Mm,
changing all the time. I'm like, dude, I just need to watch it. Like, I apologize. I have
yeah,
not watched a Summer Olympics yet, so I'm like so excited.
yeah.
Retirement.
It's so cool. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Okay. So summer games, obviously I touched on how much bigger they are. Does the field hockey team at other games, again, these ones are going to be different, but does the whole team make friends with like other sporting teams when you're there other than field
Yeah,
hockey?
well, we we were best buddies with the volleyball guys.
Nice.
So because they were the only other men's team sport there. And in fact, we went to watch them. We have a little bit of a rapport with those guys. And when they won their game against Cuba here in Vancouver in like February 2019 to qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah.
They had they were down 2 sets to the Cubans and came back and won 3 to win in the 5th set. And we were there cheering them on like maniacs because yeah, they're just cool guys and awesome sport. I love watching them and how fast they hit the ball. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was more off field at festivities towards the end of the games. And so we would see them at Canada Olympic House and then somehow end up at the same parties together. And then we ended up playing against them in street hockey. So the COC brings, or has in the past brought, different I guess games and sports equipment into the village so that athletes have sort of things to do, in their downtime, so that you're not just lying in your bed all day. And so there's a street hockey set, so that gets us pretty fired up. So we had two probably memorable games. One was against the athletic boys, and then we played against the volleyball guys as well. The athletics guys was fun. Like I'll never forget because Dunphy was in net, and it was like a day after he'd had his 50K race walk, and I was like, how does this guy have the energy to play in goal? And I have to say, like, the athletics guys, like, super good athletes, but not the best hand-eye coordination. So we were just destroying them, but Dunphy was keeping him in the game. So
Oh man, he's so funny. Actually, he talked about how I remember being envious of him because he was at your guys's field hockey game
the
match
qualifier,
where you
yeah,
qualified, and I was like, oh, I want to
yeah,
be there. I was away or something. So rad. That's what I love. I love that about the Olympics is that we all get together and hang out, which
hmm
is so cool. Okay. Martha McCabe obviously is not with us for this episode, but you do some chats with head to head. And I wanted to
hmm
know how many you had done.
Yeah, so I've worked with Martha now for a couple of years, and I guess most notably would have been the Southridge School in White Rock, I guess. And I spent an entire year with their field hockey team,
Amazing.
probably 2 years ago now. And then, sort of talked to them in a few different ways. I obviously communicated and educated them to the field hockey component, and then obviously spoke to their team off the field around some good habits and uh, strategies that they can bring into their own life around building self-esteem and confidence and things like that, and then sort of finish it off by speaking at the entire school itself. So really kind of an awesome experience in that I was able to touch kind of the field hockey kids that were passionate about the sport that I love, and then also just sort of extend that and bring sort of some good messaging to the entire school itself. So obviously love
Awesome.
some of the work that Martha does, and happy to be part of her organization. So yeah, and then since then, through COVID, have had done a couple of different one-off pieces here and there to talk to some kids about how I'm dealing with the adversity of the postponement, some of the strategies I'm using to kind of get through obviously what has been a pretty tumultuous 16, 17 months. So, and,
Yeah.
knowing that kids have had it pretty rough with school being, virtual and at home and cut off from friends. Like I can only imagine how hard it would be as a 14, 15, 16-year-old. So
Yeah.
yeah, just tried to share some little strategies that I've tried to bring into my life to kind of get me through the postponement and everything that's gone along with that. So
Yeah. Such a cool opportunity for schools. I'm also proud to be part of it, not as deeply as you because I have commitment issues, but
mhm,
I'll be speaking to some kids tonight. I'm excited about it.
mhm,
Number
it's great.
9, we're almost there, I promise. Number 9, is there any specific kit that we should be aware of that field hockey has that we don't know about?
Like clothing kit?
Like like kit or equipment? Like, is there like?
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing that people get all wound up about is, so we have a set piece called a short corner, which imagine it's like a free kick in soccer. And so we have one or two guys that are sort of the David Beckham equivalent in field hockey, and that they're sort of short corner specialists, and they have perfected what's called a drag flick, and it's kind of like being a free kick specialist in soccer again. But to defend our short corner, you essentially put four guys in the goal, and then they run out, and think of it like NFL football, where the attacking team has got sort of a set play in mind. Maybe they're going to do a straight shot, maybe they're going to do a variation, and then the defensive team has sort of a set play in mind. So you're trying to read the attacking team, what's their setup, what are we going to do? But you put on some extra equipment to defend, because it can be quite dangerous.
Like what kind of equipment?
So it's kind of like, we actually put ice hockey gloves on, because to defend our wrists and stuff like that, and our knuckles, because obviously the balls tends to fly through the air. Guys put cups on to protect where.
Wait, are
and
you
then
not wearing a cup the whole time?
No.
Okay, didn't know. Just checking.
Yeah, and then put an extra mask on. So there's field hockey specific masks that kind of, again, protect your face, that you can kind of rip off easily and throw off, because again, you're not allowed to wear this equipment during the game. It's only specifically for that short corner play. So yeah, people see us run behind the goal and put all this stuff on. They're like, what the heck's going on? So there you go.
Cool. Ooh, that was like an inside scoop I would have never known about. Thank you.
Yeah.
Number 10, how much coffee have you had today?
I've had 2 this morning, and I'm about to go get another, because we have a second session this afternoon. So
I know, I don't
we're on the double days for the next 4 of the 5 days this week. So, and then I do actually have an hour and a half of coaching tonight, so I might actually stop again on the way to coaching. So
You're
busy times.
Maniac. I love it.
Yeah.
Just a quick roundup. Like, how are you feeling about Tokyo? Any difficulties? I just chatted to a softball player who's got a crazy flight pattern to get there. How are you feeling about it all?
I mean, we know there'll be a bunch of procedures and protocols. We've been lucky in that we have traveled twice this spring, which I guess some teams haven't been able to. So we've been to Europe twice. So we've, I've had a lot of things shoved up my nose in terms of tests. So I kind of know the procedures and protocols. All the guys are vaccinated, and again, we kind of know what to expect and know what this might look like. Obviously, this is on another scale, on another level. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and you just have to be patient and roll with the punches, and be open and ready to kind of go with the flow. So again, I think for us, we're there to do a job, and it's going to be to succeed on the field. So whatever comes off the field, we'll just have to roll with. So yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a long delay when we land in Tokyo, just to kind of get the testing out of the way and make sure that we're safe and allowed into the country. So again, that's stuff we've dealt with going to Europe and things like that. So it's nothing we really haven't seen before in the last few months. So I think it'll be okay.
Do you ever bring your own snacks and food? Like, I brought a full bread and peanut butter of my own.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do like putting treats in the bag, and I become a bit of a chocolate fiend when I go away. I don't know why. I don't eat that much chocolate when I'm
because it's better overseas.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, especially when you're in Europe. Yeah, I just go crazy for chocolate.
Japan has really good snacks.
Yeah, well, that's true. They got good vending machines. I remember that from last time we were there. So, yeah, I mean, but the village is so well stocked, and again, the food's never really been an issue at the Olympics for me. So again, I'm not someone that needs to eat a certain thing on a certain day at a certain time. I'm pretty, again, I do like to eat kind of well in advance of games, just so I can allow the food to digest. Some guys on my team will eat spaghetti bolognese before warm up, and they'd have no problem, but I think I'd be sick. So again,
oh my God, I think I would vomit.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So a couple of guys have just iron stomachs on our team, but I like to eat well in advance. But yeah, I'm not super particular. I have a pretty much eat anything. So yeah, I might throw a few treats in.
Stomach like me.
No, I might throw a few treats in there, and that's about it.
I love it. Okay, we touched a little bit on, you said you had an injury, and I know you had this injury. Did you tear your Achilles?
Yeah, ruptured Achilles in, I guess, August 2019 now.
Yeah.
So not a good one, obviously. I've been fortunate. I've played this sport for a long time and I had a surgery at the beginning of my career for a broken finger, and now a surgery towards the tail end of my career for this. But between, I've been pretty lucky. So touch wood, there's no more between now and the end of it. But everything's healed up. Dr. Bowyer, New Westminster, he's, in his word, I think operated on more Olympians than anyone in Canada.
I
So
think
he's
he
a bit
might
of a
have done my
legend.
knee.
Yeah, he's an orthopedic surgeon. He probably did your knee. Yeah, he's great. Dory Bowyer in
Yeah,
New
Dory.
West,
Yeah.
he's awesome. Yeah. So there you go.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah. So he's doing great. He sent me an email after he saw I'd made the team, just pumped that I was back and healthy and ripping around. So,
I was
and then
so
Sean Campbell.
psyched too, because I didn't know.
Yeah,
Like last time I saw you, you were in a boot. And I was like,
yeah,
oh
exactly.
no, what does this mean? I was like really upset in my own self for
Yeah,
you. Because I was like, no, he wants to go. So
yeah,
how did the recovery happen? And like now you're on the team. Like I'm doing a happy
yeah.
dance inside for you.
Well, thank you for that, Mercedes. Yeah, Sean Campbell's a physio. He was actually a 2000 Olympian in the sport of field hockey. So he's a guy that's known our team, known our sport, and he's a hell of a physio. So he kind of led point, him and Dory, on my recovery. He's awesome. He's got his own practice in North Van, works with a couple NHLers, pretty established. Well, again, I think we're blessed on the West Coast here of having, some amazing physiotherapists. And he kind of, walked me through it and helped me get back on my feet. And again, it's a tough one mentally initially, just because Achilles is kind of an important one to walk and run. So,
It's like
those
one of
those
the
first,
gnarliest injuries ever.
yeah, one of those, yeah, everyone that says it's like, ooh, but yeah, I mean, I started in the pool, walking around in the pool, just to take the load off, and then you kind of build that up, and then you're walking with, just
Baby
by
steps.
yourself. Yeah, it is really baby
Kind of like
steps.
my
You're learning to
concussion,
walk.
but different.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, it's like it takes a long time, and it's interesting because like a knee surgery takes a similar amount of time to recover. I mean, 9 months at the short end, let's say about a year really to get yourself back. And Achilles is similar, but with the knee, you can start the rehab after 6 weeks, maybe even a month after the surgery. Whereas in Achilles, you have to let it sit for like 3-4 months. So that was the frustrating part, was just having it in the boot, not being able to do anything for a while. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, touch wood, everything's good and feeling better. So just excited to get out there.
I'm so happy for you. Well, thank you so much in between your training. I really appreciate you taking the time, and it's always good to see your face.
Love it. Thanks so much, Mercedes.
Let people know where they can find you online.
Well, I'm on Twitter at MarkAGP19. I'll be, I haven't tweeted as much lately, but I will be kind of, I guess, more active in the lead up to games now, and sharing some more, I guess, stories and insights from sort of our road to Tokyo. So, and same on Instagram. So,
Okay.
yeah, find me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for dropping in. I appreciate it, and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I don't know about you, but I'm still really enjoying learning about all these sports that I really didn't know too much about. I do have to shout out Sway. They are committed to supporting communities and charities across the country. And I've chosen a cause near and dear to me, Can Fund, directly supporting Team Canada athletes. Sway will be making a donation on my behalf to Can Fund. Now, what is Sway? It's delicious. It's made with real juice and real good vibes. It's a delicious tasting vodka soda. Cheers. Thanks so much for dropping in. You can find all the dropping in episodes on the Dean Blundell Network or on your preferred podcast network, where you can subscribe and not miss an episode.